I'm going to be talking about how I structure code. I labelled it pure, as it stands for pull up and refactor, but I didn't have an E to stand in there. Now this approach may already exist, but I've never seen it, and I've never seen something similar to it, so if you've seen something similar, let me know and tell me what it's called. So let's jump in. So we start off with some first principles reasoning. And if you don't know what first principles reasoning is, go and check out my other channel where I explain what it is. And we basically start off with a place that we consider to be a truth, a hard constraint, or the most concrete thing that we're aware of in our software. Something that you know is close to a truth as possible. Now the most likely thing to be a truth is probably a third-party integration. Now when I say a truth, it's really something we take as immutable and not likely to change. Because first principles reasoning is really building upon logic, building upon things that are a solid foundation, things that aren't likely to shift. Now a third-party integration is pretty rigid and unlikely to shift. And if you're not integrating with a third party, you're likely going to be starting at looking at a business requirement that isn't going to likely shift. So look for the most concrete, solid business requirement and start coding there. Now you're going to be working up from this foundation. So your truth, your first principle base is going to be your concrete that you're going to build on top of. You can think of this as like being a grassroots approach, starting at the bottom, working your way up. Now often your code is large and it doesn't fit into one file or class. So with time, as you're building code, you're going to start splitting it up into other files, following typical refactoring best practices. So once you have more than one file and you need to start refactoring and moving things around, the best place to start is at the bottom level and working your way up. So at the bottom level, the level closest to the truth, the level closest to the third-party application, the base of your code, you're going to look at it and say, can I move any of the stuff in this upper level to the parent? Can I hoist any of these initializers, any of these items up a level? And when you bring it up to the parent, you say again, can I lift it a level up again? So you keep repeating this process all the way up the tree. Now the idea is to keep the lower levels as reusable as possible, more abstract. Consider types such as int, boolean, string, and so on at the bottom level, because truly these are the most abstract data forms you can create, and maybe a parameter object that encapsulates these. This way you can recompose them in ways that you previously didn't think about. Abstract files should be lower in the stack, and more specific classes that compose the lower level files should sit at the top. And when I say compose, it's really an orchestration. You're telling the top level classes are telling the bottom level classes what to do. And because you've built the bottom level classes nice and abstract and reusable, you can reform them with the top level classes in many different ways. So in pure, I guess, which I call that, the pull-up refactor, you're doing the pull-up approach, starting from the bottom, hoisting up, and you're also applying regular refactoring best practices, such as you ain't gonna need it, don't repeat yourself, solid principles, you get the drift. And keep cycling back down to the bottom levels and hoisting back up to the top levels, and you'll see that you get a nice clean structure. And you'll get eventually to a point where you hit the edge of the top level edge of your code, and there at some point it makes sense to stop. Following this approach, you're going to build very powerful software, and that software can be repackaged, and future scenarios that you're not aware of can be built very quickly and easily. So yeah, if you know a better name for this, I'm just calling it the pure approach for now. If you found any of this useful, please consider subscribing. It'll greatly help me. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks guys, take care.